Next, what we have to do, we already have like a blouse. Of course, it has to be longer. We just make an example. I want to show you how to do these small pieces. But next, what we have to do to finish neckline, and we already have our facing prepared. So the deeper will be my front, and not that deep is my back. So this is my back. But first, what I want to do, I want to go with zigzag around only the outside line, not inside, outside. So I went with zigzag. And now we connect facing to my blouse, beautiful side to beautiful side, as always, right? Beautiful to beautiful. And I match front with front and back with back. So this is front because neckline is deep. And this is also front. And my seams here and here, they have to match. So first I make sure the seams are together and I pin it. This one and this one too. And then I spread the back. These details are equal, so it has to be flat. So I pin my facing to my blouse. Same with front. And next, what you have to do, we have to go with straight stitch with distance 1 centimeter from the edge. This is the same way of finishing as we did with trousers. Do you remember we did trousers with facing waistband? So this is the same idea, but with neckline. So now I attached it, and you have to go with straight stitch with distance 1 centimeter around like this, and you make a circle. One thing that I want to show you, and this is also a common mistake that beginners make. So for example, now I need to turn, but it's a bit hard to turn, so you can move the foot up and place it a bit different. But what people do often, they do like this and like this, but my needle wasn't inside and my stitch will be not straight now because I moved from the place where I was before. How to do it correct? You have to turn, you actually have to move up your foot only when your needle is inside. So my needle inside now, I can move my foot up and I can turn in any way, and my stitch will continue, so it will be still line connected normally. And this is the idea. So if you need to move your foot up, your needle has to be inside if you want to continue the stitch. But when you're done, of course, everything has to be up. Now everything goes up and I'll remove the pins. This is how my blouse looks now. I have straight stitch here with 1 centimeter seam allowance. Next, what we have to do, we fold this facing like this to the inside, and it's important that seam allowance and facing are on the same side. Yes, if I look from here, the facing and seam allowance are together, and we basically have to connect it between each other with stitch. Yes, so again, this is flat. My seam allowance is here, and now I move my facing to the same side, and this is how it looks from the inside. And you have to go with straight stitch close to this previous stitch. So you have to go with distance one, better one, but 1-2 millimeters, and make a circle. And with this stitch you connect facing to this. It's important because some people make mistakes. Okay, I'm gonna do this and I will show you the end result. I'm gonna do this now. So again, my seam allowance and facing are on the same side, and I go under my foot and I have to go with stitch close to this previous one. Okay, so I go straight forward, back stitch and forward, and I stretch it out a little bit so fabric is not folded. Okay, and again I check that my seam allowance and facing are on the same side. Okay, and stretch it out. Again, it's circle, so you have to go piece by piece. Again, I check it's on the same side. And this way you make a full circle. So this is how it looks. My stitch is on my facing with 1 millimeter from previous stitch, and I connect facing and seam allowance. Now my idea is I have to turn the facing inside, but the seam allowance that we have is tight. That's why fabric cannot lay flat, or it's a bit hard to be flat. So what we have to do, we have to cut the extra seam allowance and leave 2 millimeters here. So be careful, we only cut seam allowance, nothing more. So I have to leave 2 millimeters. Okay, and I cut this around my facing and I make a full circle. This is how it looks. So it's very short, the seam allowance. Now I turn it to the inside, and now I don't have anything to make it so I don't have extra volume now, and I can make it flat. So what you have to do now, we have to press it with iron to the inside with a little bit, like 1 millimeter fold here, as we did it with pockets. So here on this side I have nothing visible, all the stitches on the inside. So you need to press it everywhere around neckline and make it flat. Okay, maybe one more from here. So now my neckline looks beautiful. I have no stitches, nothing here, and everything is invisible. Just press it and iron it a little bit. Okay, we are almost done, but the only thing that when we're gonna wear it, this thing gonna move, the facing gonna move all the time back and forth, so we have to attach it. And the same how we did it with pockets, you can attach with hand stitch. So you attach the edge to this to the seam allowance, or we can attach it with so this is how it looks. Nothing is visible. The only thing now, we have to attach the facing to the blouse, because it will move all the time like this. So what you can do, you can attach the facing with hand stitch here. So this edge you attach to the seam allowance with hand stitch, or we can go with sewing machine between these two stitches, and somewhere like here where we have facing. So for example, I'm gonna pin that my facing ends here, so I have to go with 3 stitch before the pin, right, between these 2 layers, just 1 centimeter forward and back. The same here. Also sometimes connect 2 times not enough, so here it still moves. In this case you attach it with hand stitch. I'm gonna show you. Okay, so this pin is where end of my facing, so I have to go before the pin, and I try to get between these 2 layers, and I stretch it out a little, yes, like this, and I go forward and back, and maybe forward again, but 2 times are also 2 times is okay. So it's not that visible. I'm gonna cut the thread and it will not be visible. So this is how it looks when between the 2 layers. So it doesn't move now, but this part will move anyway. So what I normally do, I attach once here in the middle or 2 times here with hand stitch. I already showed you before this with trousers, but I just want to show you again so you know. So let's pin here and here. We're gonna make 2 times the stitch, and I prepared my thread. Only we need 1 thread, not 2 threads, but 1 is enough. And now I go from the inside, and first I go through the facing, and then I take like 1-2 threads, like really very tiny stitch. For example, now you see, wait, I'm gonna remove the thread. So now it's like really 2 tiny threads, and that's enough. I'm gonna lock this now. It's enough. It's gonna hold the facing, and I cut this, and I repeat the same 1 more time with another side. So here first I locked the end, yes, And I go through the facing, and then I just take 1-2 threads, so for example now one, and then I go back to the through the facing, and maybe one more time, and I lock my thread. Let's see how it looks from visible side. You also can attach the back somewhere in the middle. Once is enough. So actually we attached it here, so this one, but it's not visible. I'm gonna press it now, and you're gonna see it's totally not visible. So this is my neckline, and I cannot see any stitches, but my facing is attached, you see. So hand stitch, this is really something that helps you to finish a lot of things, and I advise you to use this. Okay, this was the end of our lesson. We learned how to make a blouse. Blouse can be with darts also, but this model just to show you what normal process. So if you have darts, you first make the darts and then connect from front and back. So we connect just shoulders and sides, and then we attach the sleeve. It's a bit difficult, but I think you will figure it out. And then we finish neckline with facing. And in next lesson I will show you how to finish neckline in another way. So hope to see you next time.